The other cat's no better. The other two cats. Because the Buddha wished, as he told the doubting monk, to keep the conception of a paradise or heaven on a spiritual plane, above descriptions in sense terms, his sermons are there of those opulent figurative passages in which mystical literature elsewhere so abounds. In the Questions of King Milinda, an early Pali book not generally considered canonical, there is, however, one such picture of the Buddhist afterworld, suggestive of the Christian city of God, but instructively different. 2. By reason of the abstract descriptive words, quote, "A glorious city, stainless and undefiled, pure and white, ageless and deathless, secure, calm, and happy." Okay, that is we. Perhaps the writer of those lines had in mind a statement of the Blessed One recorded in an early canonical book, the Naga or Bhaga, quote, "I attained to the highest birth and I found enlightenment. To you I have shown the noble path leading to the city of peace," unquote. The lines are part of the sermon on, quote, "the goal," unquote, quoted earlier, that ends, quote, "This is deliverance, salvation, and the bliss of heaven, and life everlasting." Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Two hours and 11 minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's feed the birds. And let's go to bed. Give them some nuts. That was peanut butter on a roll. Thank you, Hannaford.
2458092. That's in the first message. Oh, good afternoon. This is Dick Walt returning your call. I was speaking to Joe, and he was saying he's going to try and call you in the afternoon. He also, do you have his mobile phone, his cell phone? It's 631-245-8092. That's his mobile phone. Okay, hope that helps you. Bye now.
You're a gentleman and a big help. Thank you, Dick Walt.
Press 3 for advanced options. Press 5 to repeat the current message. Press message 2.
Hi, Glendora. This is Kathy from Walmart.
Kathy Friedenborg.
I haven't seen you in a while. I just was calling to see, make sure everything is okay.
Yeah, everything's
I'll
beautiful.
see you then. Bye.
Isn't he beautiful? Or she?
Press 4 for the previous message. Press 3 for advanced message deleted. Message 3.
Hi, Glendora. It's Margaret Callahan, home from all my travels.
Margaret Callahan in Pittsfield. She watched.
We were a week at my aunt's at Framingham, and then home for a day or two, and then off.
She and her sister used to watch the SS
My
Glendora.
cousin and his wife's new home in Westport, Mass, on the South Shore. New to them, but not a new house. They're doing it over. And I got home and went to near the Worcester area to my grad school roommate and her husband's house for a few days. And now
Good for you.
I'm back and returning my calls. I hope you're doing well. I'm going in. Well, first I have to go to my PAT appointment, which is pre-assessment testing. They found a cataract in my left eye, so they want to do that in a week.
Of course they do.
And my other college roommate now is
Add up the money.
in Melbourne Beach, Florida, so they've invited me down for a few days to recuperate as soon as I can safely fly. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're keeping warm and
She's
doing
global.
your show. Maureen as well, and so is her husband and son, who's becoming an intern at New England Cable News for a semester since he's majoring in communications
Oh, good.
at Birmingham State University.
He's going to be like Glenny?
I'm off to my appointment, and
Oh, Frank.
I hope you're doing well, and have a very happy and healthy new year. Bye-bye.
Oh, Frank.
Press 4 for the previous message. Message deleted. Message 4.
Lenny, it's Victoria finally calling you back. I'm sorry. I was away for a week or so in Pennsylvania for my grandmother's birthday and running around and helping my grandmothers with all the things they can't do. And
God bless you,
one
honey, and
like
thank
me
you.
is there. So I'm back now, I'm working a lot during the week. Been pretty busy. But glad that you got the phone. I have the other phone. My Verizon phone's been fine. I haven't run out of minutes or anything.
Well, why don't you call me?
I do have the Straight Talk phone, and I haven't used it. I'll double check on that and see if it ran out. I hope it did not.
Yes, it did. I'm sure it did.
And
it'll take $30 to
also,
sell it.
I found the Happy Book.
Oh, that's
The
great.
Master Happy Book. I have it. So that's good news. I will not mail it to you because I don't want it to get lost in the mail.
Yeah.
So I'll try to figure out some time when
I've lost about
you come
$300 cash in the mail.
up here, or if I could try to borrow a car to come visit you for a day. That would be great. I have to work from home this weekend because I have a video I'm finishing up for Workforce Development Institute where I work. So I have a deadline. Okay, Glenny. Hope all is well. Take care and give me a call soon.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, bye.
I do keep calling you.
Press 4 for the previous message. Press 3 for advanced options. Message deleted. Message 5.
Yes, Glendora, George Montgomery. Give me a call if you get a chance. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Press 4 for the previous message.
He
Press
wants to send
3
you
for
videos,
advanced
folks.
options.
He wants you to
Press
know what he's
5 to
doing.
repeat the current message. 6 to message deleted. Message.
Yeah, hi, Glenny. This is Joe Cronin.
Good.
I guess in the year may have gone to bed or whatever. I'll try you again early in the morning.
Aren't you a
take
great
care.
creation?
Thank you.
People, you're strange. To kill those
Press
beautiful
4 for the
birds.
previous message. Message deleted. No more messages.
Oh,
Press 4
thanks.
for the previous message. Press 3 for advanced options. Press 5 to repeat the current message. 7. Message undeleted.
Oh, no.
More messages. Message deleted.
Let's finish looking at the animals. Joe Cronin's going to call me early this morning. That's good. Before he goes to therapy. He can't walk. He can't walk. They don't know what's wrong with him. All these years, they don't know what's wrong with him. Keeps going to therapy and he can't walk. They took away his apartment, took away his car, took away all his papers. Boy. Oh. Thank you, pictures. Now, how many calls do I have to return, folks? Victoria, I return. Cronin's going to call. Callahan, I can't find her number, so I have to write her a letter and send it to the animal shelter in Pittsfield. Okay, Callahan. Cronin's okay. Victoria's okay. Dick Wall I've called. Who else was it, folks? Who were the other two? I was busy showing you pictures. Hi, folks. How are you? Is everybody being good to you? Everybody treating you right? I want that they should. Let's do the words together. Will you help me learn these words? They're so beautiful. Adulterate. That means to make impure by an admixture of lesser or foreign substances. These viruses are adulting my upper respiratory tract. But you know, the body is working so hard. It's really so clever how the body works so hard to capture those viruses, produces these viscous liquids so that the viruses are captured, and then makes you cough them out and blow them out. The body's so clever. God is so clever. God is ingenious. God ready invention. That might be one of our words. Or was that adroit? Okay, the next word. Alright, we won't let our thinking be adulterated, will we? Help me. Help me keep my thinking pure. No baser thoughts. No foreign thoughts. What's a foreign thought? Anything that's unhappy, right? Because you and I are dedicated to God through happiness. Here's that little song. With God we go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop the cruel, stop the cruel. Thank you, Ralph Vaughan Williams. Adumbrate. It means to give a shadowy representation of, to give a vague disclosure, and it comes from the Latin word Dumbra has something to do with shadow, and addumbra is, that would be two shadows. T-O shadows. To give a sketchy representation, a shadowy or sketchy representation. To give a vague disclosure. We're not like that, are we? No. We tell the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. That's what the dentist, what the judge said to the dentist. Do you swear to pull the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth? Ad valorem. That's another Latin word. Add to the value of. Ad valorem. What is our value? What are we ad valorem? We're getting higher and higher in value, aren't we? Why? Because we're given more and more happiness every day, aren't we? Yeah. And it makes us happy, doesn't it? Now, advanced. Advance is noticeable as a noun, and advance is a noticeable or marked improvement. And we were just saying that we were advancing and spreading happiness. With God we go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop, stop the cruel, stop, stop the cruel. Let the animals live their own lives. Stop taking advantage of them. So, adulterate, to make impure by an admixture of a lesser or baser or foreign substance. So we will not adulterate our happiness. Adumbrate, to give a shadowy or sketchy representation, to give a vague disclosure. We are not sketchy or shadowy. We are very well defined and forthright, are we not? We're telling people that we've done wrong, that we're sorry. We wish we hadn't done it. It embarrasses us. We want to atone for it, and we're ready to take the punishment for it, aren't we? So we're all cleaned up inside. Don't even think of those things again. Forgive everybody, and they will forgive you. Ad valorem, to the value. To the value of happiness. Advance, marked or noticeable progress. To advance is also to accelerate the growth. God tape 16B. God tape 16B, microcassette B. Zero it. Fresh start. Marked or noticeable progress. I think we are. And you are a big help. You don't know what a big help you are. To accelerate the growth or progress. Okay, folks? That's to advance. And we will continue to advance in happiness. Now, adventitious. Added extrinsically. Added extrinsically. Not essentially inherent. Acquired. Accidental. Casual. What do you have to say about that? Let our happiness be added so extrinsically and acquired that it is inherent, and we'll pass it on to the next generation. Adventitious, added extrinsically, not essentially inherent, acquired, accidental, and casual. Word 146, adventure. A bold undertaking in which risks are to be encountered and the outcome hangs on unforeseen circumstances. Is that right? 146, adventure. A bold undertaking in which hazards are to be met and the issue hangs on unforeseen events. Well, I love it. I love it. This life that we are living, trying to help everybody, the animals, the plants, and the people, it's a bold undertaking in which hazards are to be met. But I don't see many hazards, do you? Anyway, that's negative. And the issue hangs on unforeseen events. We don't care. We know we're right. We know that a perfect present, being 100% happy in God's name, we know that a perfect present will make a perfect past and will make a perfect future. Now, an adventurer is not a nice word. Maybe we shouldn't even consider it. It's one who seeks unmerited preference or position by equivocal means, as by playing upon the credulity or prejudices of others. That's a bad word. That's word 147, an adventurer. I know that you've known people like that. Pray for them. Pray for them that they go along with God the first thing in the morning and claim that great, wonderful, beautiful treasure that God has for them. And we are claiming our treasure, isn't it? All we have to do is keep up our happiness. With God we go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop, stop the cruel, stop the cruel. Today's joke is a man who's walking down the street holding in his arms a darling Cocker Spaniel puppy, and he meets his friend and he says to his friend, "What do you think of this Cocker Spaniel puppy I got from my wife?" And his friend said, "That's not a bad trade." I should play you on microcassette the laughter that brought people. I told it 10 or 20 times this morning on the telephone when I did the telephone calls 71 to 80 for this cycle. Joan Denton's laughter was really a joy. All right, adventurous. Inclined to embark on hazardous endeavors. I don't think so. We'll stay with safety, and what's safety? Being happy all the time and spreading happiness all the time. That was word 148. Now 149 is adverse. Contrary, in the opposite direction. Such as an adverse wind. We worry not about adverse or adversities or adversaries, because we know that we are shielded and guarded and guided by happiness. With God we go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop, stop the cruel, Stop the cruel. We have stopped the cruel. And so we are happy. We don't pick on the poor little animals. We don't subdue them and take away their freedom and their independence. We don't murder them, agonize them, torture them. Murder them. Cut them up in pieces and eat them. We don't do things like that. Adversary. One turned against another with a design to oppose or resist. So far, we have not encountered any adversaries. We have not encountered anybody who was turned against us with a design to oppose or resist us. If we do, we know what to do. Give happiness. Help them all we can. Okay, that's words 141 to 150. Aren't they beautiful? Now, folks, how are we going to remember to use such nice words instead of the old, lame, and tired words that we've worn out? How are we going to use them? Adulterate, adumbrate, advance, ad valorem, adventitious, adventure, adventurer, adventuresome, adverse, and adversary. How are you going to remember to use those instead of these old tired words that we've used all our lives? So that's the words from Wednesday. Now we have to do the words for Friday. Then telephone 81 to 90. And telephone 91 to 100. And work on the renewals for Cablevision. Renewing the chat with Glendora on the TV. And try to learn what God has done with Straight Talk, which is an amazing instrument, telephone. And Rachel at the Buddha Center in Chicago called and said she was adjourning until February 10th. But that's good. She is planning to do it. She's going to give us lessons in Buddha, solitude and meditation, and the contemplation of happiness for every living being, in joy and purity and serenity and tranquility. She's going to help us, folks. Isn't that nice? And so we'll put it on our 90 TV stations that we have, and then we'll add Chicago Access Network TV, CAN TV. And when she sends us the tape that she sits down and makes and teaches us these things, and I put the titles on it, then I'll send it to Los Alamos, to John Rowe, and Gene will convert it to DV Cam, that rather odious format that public access stations should not use. And then, if there's any fees, we'll pay them. And then Rachel can take her DV Cam and her application and her agreement down to CAN, pay the fees if there aren't any, I'll give her the money. And then we can tell people in Chicago about Buddha. I feel this way about it. Here I am, 82 years old. Why did it take 82 years to learn about Buddha? Compassion, tranquility, serenity, purity. 25 500 years, 2,500 years ago, 500 years before Christ. Why did it take me until I'm 82 to learn that? We've got to get out the word, that's what it is. And I read to Rachel the things that I've been telling you and asked her, are we saying what is right? And her answer was, that's pretty much the heart of it. So we're on our own with Buddha until Rachel gets to us on February 10th. We have to go to the mailbox, and I'll try to videotape Amadeus walking to the mailbox. He is so appealing doing that. The way he walks right alongside of you, and his tail straight up in the air, and he trots. And then if he gets behind and you scoop down and hold your hand like this, he comes and rubs his head up against your hand. He is endearing. And then we have details to do, about 6 of them. Start the 1980 Lincoln, start the 1993 Lincoln. This is Thursday's list, yesterday's list. Exercise the body for yesterday and for today. I think we ought to go feed the cows. We can feed them peanut butter sandwiches. Is that all right? Peanut butter sandwiches on Subway rolls. And we have to eat ground nuts and tangerines for yesterday. And that's all. And then we have to do Friday's list. Let's get out Buddha. Want to? Where were we? Up to page 292, 3. And we don't have any copies of 294. So we'll have to use the book. With God we go, to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop, stop the cruel, stop the cruel. That's Buddha. Remember when he said, contemplation of the happiness of every living being. Oh, I love it. Brother Lawrence, we're on Brother Lawrence. In the 1600s. Years, 1600s. We're getting there. The patient says, Doc, he said to the dentist, you haven't pulled the right tooth yet. And the dentist says, no, but I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer, please. 291, 293. Yes. Brother Lawrence says, my soul, escaping tiresome discussions, attained a profound inward peace, as if it had come to its own home in place of rest. That's what we're getting, isn't it? Since that day, I walk before God simply, Brother Lawrence says, humbly, in faith, and lovingly, nor do I do anything that may be apart from His design. We're on page 294. He came early to the conclusion that mortification of the flesh was not a necessary part of the struggle to reach God. One's love of holiness would lead to a certain degree of asceticism. but, quote, all the possible kinds of mortification cannot abate one sin, unquote. You betcha it can. So we won't allow any adulteration in our thought, will we? As for the wickedness one saw all about, this is extremely touching. He was not at all surprised or alarmed by it. Quote, when he was told of the sins of the wicked in this world, he found nothing to wonder at. On the contrary, he marveled that there were not more transgressions, considering all the corruptions into which desire can lead a person. Boy, that's Buddha through and through. I tell you, God tells people the same truth generation after generation after generation. 2,500 years ago. And since God permitted evils, that's interesting, for reasons which must be useful in his design and providence, and could readily remedy the mischief done by such evil, Brother Lawrence would pray for the sinners and for their victims, and then putting the matter aside, resume his peaceful service. We got it, folks. There's no question what our peaceful service is. Spread happiness. And remember, we'll do just as Brother Lawrence did. He didn't allow the evil. He didn't allow us to think about it, speak it, hear it, do it, or see it. No. See it, hear it, speak it, think it, or do it. Just go about our peaceful service, spreading happiness. At some time during this period, we are told, Nicholas Herman decided to take himself out of the world of people to become a solitary, after the pattern of the hermits of the East. That would be Buddha, India, more than Buddha. But he failed to find peace in a life of complete withdrawal. Sorry about that, but that's the body getting rid of some more of those viruses. After the pattern of the hermits of the East, but he failed to find peace in a life of complete withdrawal. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, what good does it do? Does it do God any good? You know, completely withdraw. No, you stay out there in the madding crowd. You don't go far from the madding crowd. You stay there and you help, and you bring happiness. As for this kitty cat, or perhaps he could not reconcile physical idleness and the begging that accompanies it with the Christian injunction to work and serve. Yeah, I agree. I cannot ignore that injunction. Work and serve. Work and serve. Remember, Christ said we have to be servants. We have to be servants. The greatest among us will be the servants. He told Monsieur Beaufort that when he entered the order of the Barefoot Carmelites, friars, whether in 1666 or earlier, quote, he had desired to be received into the monastery, believing that he would be disciplined for his awkwardness and his faults. His awkwardness came from that injury, being a soldier in the war. He didn't know any better. That was the way of life. And he got injured and limped, and that was his awkwardness. It wasn't his fault. And his faults, sacrificing his worldly life and its pleasures. Good, good. But he found that he need not have troubled his mind in that matter, for he experienced nothing but satisfaction in the monastic life. I don't care whether you're in a monastery or out here with us. You just bring as much happiness as you can. You do as much as you can for animals, plants, and people. Thank you, sweetie. He did, however, relax and draw away from the routine practiced by the brothers. Repetitive prayers, long prayers, over and over and over, yeah. Before long, he had substituted his own way of devotion. And that's the practice of the presence of God. The practice of the presence of happiness. That's how we see God. When we see happiness, we see God. God is without end or beginning. Happiness is without end or beginning. It's continuous. And we just came into it. And the part of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can sense is the great big wavelengths, radio and infrared, and television waves, and red, orange, green, blue, yellow, and purple. No, what is it? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. And X-rays and gamma rays. That's the part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and I think that spectrum goes on and on and on. So many wavelengths that we cannot sense. Before long, he had submitted his own way of devotion. The practice of the presence of God, which forms the substance of the published conversations. For that of the other friars. There are misunderstandings, oh yeah, you would expect that, over this. Perhaps jealousy and complaints, yes, you would expect that. And one of the most cogent and beautiful of Brother Lawrence's letters is a justification to a superior of his conduct and his manner of adoration. And I'll read you the letter. It's going from page 294 to 295. As a novice in the beginning, I spent those hours appointed for personal prayer in an effort to turn all my thoughts toward God. Turn all my thoughts toward happiness. I then labored to convince myself of the divine existence, though less by means of reason, right, and the deductions of the intellect than by the appeal of faith to the heart. Yes, the intuitive. Thus I came shortly to the sense of God's nearness. Isn't it beautiful? And to the knowledge that I wanted only to abide in His presence. That fits us to a T, doesn't it? Thank you, Brother Lawrence. Thank you, Monsieur Beaufort, for going to Brother Lawrence and getting these down in writing to pass on to us. Thank you, Buddha. Thank you, Jesus the Christ. We've got those three, that's all we need. We don't need anything more than that. We'll keep reading them together, and saying them together, and discussing them together. Isn't it wonderful? Aren't you happy? go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop! Stop the cruel! Stop! Stop the cruel! Amadeus! Kitty, 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 kitty! You want to go to the mailbox? These are Cablevision renewals, folks. Andrew's brother asked him to sponsor a chat with Glendora. And asked Susan Lee White to sponsor a half-hour and a 2-hour. And Mary Ramage to sponsor a half-hour and a 2-hour. And Louis Conway to sponsor a half-hour and a 2-hour. It's in Rockland County. And Elmer to sponsor a half-hour for the 6th or 7th year. Thank you, God, for all of these friends. Thank you over all of these years. Are you coming, Amadeus? You're kind of slow. Come on, Pokey. Come on, Pokey. Kitty, 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 kitty. What a Pokey cat. Good boy. Now you're safe. Good boy. Good boy, cat. Yes. He's a good boy, cat. Hey, thank you for the show. That's not suitable? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're very fussy. I have a headache. And I found out, folks, if you have a headache, go outdoors. I think you have a headache because your brain isn't getting enough oxygen. And then if you go outdoors, then your brain gets the oxygen and the headache goes away. Isn't that interesting? These cats are altogether too domesticated. He's got the whole outdoors in which to go to the bathroom, and he still uses a litter pan. And .com will stay out for 2 hours, and then she'll come running in great urgency to go to the litter pan. Oh, the fresh air was good, and the sunshine was good. Did you know that a freighter carrying a load of yo-yos, a freighter carrying a load of yo-yos, struck a reef and sank 10 times? Thank you, Amadeus. Thank you for the show.
Tomorrow morning, I'm actually leaving and going out of town for about 2 weeks.
It's Rachel.
I'll be back on the 10th of February. So hopefully, soon after I get back, I can go ahead and do it, and I'll send it to you. I apologize, but I have had very little time at all this month. So I hope you're well. And again, I'm sorry for not getting it to you sooner, but hopefully, just after I get back, probably in the week following when I get back, I should have a full free afternoon and I can do it then. Okay, I hope you're well. Bye-bye. End of message. Have a full free afternoon and I can do it then. Okay, I hope you're well. Bye-bye. First saved voice message. Hi, Glendora. This is Rachel. I'm returning your calls. First of all, what you read me sounds perfect. What you've been reading to the TV, that's fine. It's actually pretty much the essence of the teaching, so that's fine. I'm sorry I did not have a chance to do the videos yet. This month's been a little bit crazy, but February looks better. Tomorrow morning, I'm actually leaving and going out of town for about 2 weeks. I'll be back on the 10th of February. So hopefully, soon after I get back, I can go ahead and do it, and I'll send it to you. I apologize, but I have had very little time at all this month. So I hope you're well. And again, I'm sorry for not getting it to you sooner, but hopefully, just after I get back, probably in the week following when I get back, I should have a full free afternoon and I can do it then. Okay, I hope you're well. Bye-bye.
Okay,
End of
Rachel.
message. To erase this message, press 7. This message will be saved for 21 days. End of messages. To listen to your messages, press 1. To send a message, press 2. To change your personal options, press 4. To disconnect, press star.
Okay.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. And goodbye. God be with you. Well, we're disappointed that we don't have it, but Buddha teaches us not to have these desires and disappointments, so we'll just let it go. We're very thankful that she is going to do it when she can in February. And I make my point again that I think our doing it is an urgent matter because I am 82 years old, and it took me 82 years to hear about Buddha. 82 years. So we've got some work to do. We have the message to get out to many. It's such a beautiful message. Buddha and his contemplation on the happiness of every living being. So let's call Rachel back and tell her that. And then let's read her some more Buddha. Okay? All right. Now, folks, if I can operate the straight talk telephone, I can play you a message from Rachel. Rachel is in the Buddha Center in Chicago. And she's going to come and teach us some things about Buddha. Isn't that going to be wonderful? But she is delayed, and here is the message it will tell you. How do you find it? Do you know, dear? Voicemail. No. Here's voicemail. Voicemail. Okay, and so I guess you press OK. You press send.
Please enter your password. Then press pound.
Okay. All right.
You have 1 saved voice message. To listen to your messages, press 1. To send a message, press 2. To change your personal options, press 4. First saved voice message.
Can you hear?
Hi, Glendora. This is Rachel. Returning your calls. First of all, what you read me sounds perfect. What you've been reading to the TV, that's fine. It's actually pretty much the essence of the teaching, so that's fine. I'm sorry I did not have a chance to do the videos yet. This month's been a little bit crazy, but February looks better. Tomorrow morning I'm actually leaving and going out of town for about 2 weeks. I'll be back on the 10th of February, so hopefully soon after I get back I can go ahead and do it and I'll send it to you. I apologize, but I have had very little time at all this month, so I hope you're well, and again, I'm sorry for not getting it to you sooner, but hopefully just after I get back, probably in the week following when I get back, I should have a full free afternoon and I can do it then. I hope you're well. Goodbye.
Excuse me. She says, yeah, I should have a full afternoon.
Message, press 7. To save it, press
Thank you.
9.
I'm sorry. There's nothing to sneeze at.
Press 0.
Now, you want to hear it again, or do you want to answer it? She said press 2.
You have pressed an incorrect key. To erase this message, press 7. To save it, press 9. To hear more options, press 0.
I want to call her.
To replay this message, press 4. To get envelope information about this message, press 5. To
To send a copy to someone else with your remarks, press 6. To cancel message review, press R. To erase this message, press 7. Sent Tuesday, January 25th at 10:35 p.m. from phone number 773-251-1245. Duration 1 minute, 3 seconds. To erase this message, press 7. To save it, press 9. To hear more, this message will be saved for 21 days. End of messages. To listen to your messages, press 1. To send a message, press 2. You have pressed an incorrect key. To listen to your messages,
Send a message,
press 1.
press 2.
Please enter the destination and a 10-digit mailbox number or a group distribution list number. Then press pound. To send to multiple destinations, press pound now.
Bye. Well, what we're going to do, folks, is, thank you very much. Okay, that takes care of the in call. Now we'll make an out call. And we'll find her number on here somewhere, won't we? We go to contacts. Alright. Contact list. Alright, then we'll write in Rachel. 1, 2, 3, 4 is R. And A. And C. I don't think it's working. I think I did something wrong. You know, God is so ingenious. Ready invention, ready execution. And I can't follow what he's doing here. I'll work on it every day. I still don't know how to operate it. For one thing, I can't see it because the sun is on it. There's a voicemail. Saturday, January 29th, 11:03. No. Battery low. Okay, we got it ringing.
Hello, and thank you for calling the Bodhi Path Food Center of Chicago. We are located 4043 North Ravenswood Avenue, Unit 214. That's east of the tracks between Irving Park and Berteau. If you leave a message, somebody will call you back as soon as possible. Thanks.
At the tone, please record your message. When you are finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi Rachel, it's Glendora. You were very kind to call us under the time pressures that you have. We were very pleased that you thought of us. Buddha teaches us not to have these desires and not to be disappointed. We're certainly looking forward to your teaching us the Buddha doctrine and enriching our lives. So we'll just have to wait until February 10th. I was wondering if there was anything that we could do to help you. We will. I told my TV audience that you weren't coming in January, that you were coming in February 10th. And so we will read, we'll continue to read every day. Thank you that you said we were doing the right thing. This is page 39. It says the Nirvana, which is the Buddhist, which is Buddha Gautama's paradise, is at once extinction and blissful absorption. Isn't that pretty? Into the light of infinity. The region, quote unquote, of it is holy, spiritual, as he insisted in answering the disciple. Today, 25 centuries after he formulated the doctrine, there are millions in the Orient who follow his ideal of renunciation of the world and his regimen of saintly living and spiritual search in anticipation of entry into nirvana. These are the truest, the primitive, the most selfless followers of the seer. With God we go to spread the joy of life. We win each day the happiness of love. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop the cruel, stop the cruel. We'll have to do that over, but at least we got it started. I love it. Now we have to charge the battery. And I want to charge my battery too.
The mind, so Sheldon Cheney, people who have walked with God, the mind harks forward 24 centuries to the words of an English poet. And how he loves this English poet, William Blake. Quote, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. To the Tathagata, the Buddha to be, the cleansing had to be by fire. The doors of mortal perception, that is, the senses, must be cleansed, and their cravings and lusts annihilated in flame. The thought is not far different from that of the quoted English poet, William Blake. For in the same verse he wrote, quote, the whole creation will be consumed and appear infinite and holy, unquote. He had in mind, one may believe, the cry of the Apostle Paul, quote, our God is a consuming fire, unquote. With these three religious mystics, two Christian, the other, the founder of Buddhism, there is infinitely more of identity than of difference. I couldn't agree more line addressing God with a supplication, quote, "Be thou all my life," unquote. "Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, naught else to me, but save that thou art. My best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Annihilate myself so that I may disappear in thee." The way of expressing the prayer is Christian, but substitute the word nirvana for thee, or God, I will gladly, and with great and in consent. And the sentence appears a paraphrase of a dozen statements from the sermons of the Buddha. No question. No question, they're all talking about the same thing. No matter how far back you go, no matter who says it, there's only one thing they're talking about. And that's the one thing that you and I are living. That ends page 84. 3 more paragraphs. And Cheney closes his discussion on Buddha. See if the kitty wants to come in.
Folks, how would you like just this much space on your desk to work on? I have a nice desk space to work on. And who comes along and usurps it? Folks, how would you like just this much space on your desk to work on? I have a nice desk space to work on. And who comes along and usurps it? Who? Kit.com. That's a planet. Must be Jupiter. Now right beneath them is another one. If I can find it for you. That might be the rising moon. It's right on the horizon. I think you can just see it. No, that would be the... Maybe it's another planet. Is it another planet, folks, or is it the moon? They are southeast. It acts like a planet. Then this one up here. Okay. Anyway, we got two heavenly bodies. Oh yes, you gotta see the icicle. I think the temperature's about 20. There's the icicle. It's about 3 feet from the snow ground.
Cheney, people who have walked with God. The line harks forward 24 centuries to the words of an English poet, and how he loves this English poet, William Blake. Quote, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. To the Tathagata, the Buddha to be, the cleansing had to be by fire. The doors of mortal perception, that is, the senses, must be cleansed, and their cravings and lusts annihilated in flame. The thought is not far different from that of the quoted English poet, William Blake, for in the same verse he wrote, quote, the whole creation will be consumed and appear infinite and holy, unquote. He had in mind, one may believe, the cry of the Apostle Paul, quote, our God is a consuming fire, unquote. With these three religious mystics, two Christian, the other, the founder of Buddhism, there is infinitely more of identity than of difference. I couldn't agree more. Blake the Christian cries, quote, annihilate the selfhood in me, unquote. He completes the line, addressing God with a supplication, quote, be thou all my life, unquote. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not else to me, but save that thou art. My best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Annihilate myself so that I may disappear in thee. The way of expressing the prayer is Christian, but substitute the word nirvana for thee or God. I will gladly, and with a dozen statements from the sermons of the Buddha. No question. No question, they're all talking about the same thing. No matter how far back you go, no matter who says it, there's only one thing they're talking about. And that's the one thing that you and I are living. That ends page 84. 3 more paragraphs. And Cheney closes his discussion on Buddha. See if the kitty wants to come in. Cat! Kitty cat! Kitty, 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 kitty. Like you two kitties. No, you wouldn't even think of going out. And he doesn't have any boots, and he doesn't have a scarf. 3 or 4 inches of long fur. The burning away is identical. Cleanse, purify, sear the senses. Yes, Cheney. Yes, Cheney. Yes, yes, yes. Cleanse, purify, sear the senses. Let the world of sense cravings, of desire, of lust be consumed. Yes. Cauterize the soul to rid it of the infection of self. Yes. Burn away the passion for possessions. Right. Right. The carnal craving. I should say so. Herbivore. The brutal reach for power. We don't want it. The greed for fame. Don't want it. God is famous enough. What has the fame and wherein God? Purify people of covetousness, cupidity, envy, anger, egoistic pride. What a joy it is to eschew all of those. When the flames die down, there will be that other extinguishment, the emergence of the individual. In God in the one case, and Nirvana in the other. Indeed. Indeed. Does it matter that Paul and the poet Blake called the place of attainment the city of God, while the Buddha named it the city of peace? No, it does not. That the Christians termed it the heavenly Jerusalem, while the Buddha spoke of it as the universe of delight. Oh, how nice. We're living the universe of delight, and aren't we happy, folks? Aren't we thrilled, and aren't we joyed? Last paragraph. The blessed Buddha was one in an unending line of seers. Indeed, indeed. Who is their teacher? Who is teaching them? They have but one teacher. God. The blessed Buddha was one in an unending line of seers who have cried down through the sense-ridden, self-infected, mortal existence. And we are 2 more crying it down through the ages. We're just doing it for our generation. An unending line it is, who have celebrated as the highest and holiest aim of life, the attainment of divine consciousness. Who have celebrated as the highest and holiest aim of life, the attainment of divine consciousness, or enlightenment with a capital E, or spiritual rapture. There we are. We start with rapture. We start with it. The quote-unquote way is by the fires of purgation. immersion or absorption in nirvana or in God. Amen. So be it. Solemnly ratified. At 2 minutes to midnight. And page 85. Golden Cheney. Men who have walked with God. Advised by us to people who have walked with God. Published by Knopf. 1945. Read the horror of World War II. Suggested to us seniors in high school in special English by our pedagogue, Edwin E. Smith. And that cat isn't back yet. Noah told the snakes to go forth and multiply. And the two snakes said, we can't. We are adders. Public access producer who said, if you like my show tonight, tell all your friends. And if you didn't like it, keep it our little secret. And at the lodge meeting, the master of ceremonies said that Father Raymond Adu, spelled A-D-I-E-U, is unable tonight to be here to pronounce the benediction. So without further ado, good night. As Mason said to Dixon, we have to draw the line somewhere. Speaker said, I have 2 minutes left of my allotted time to speak. I'm going to save that for the applause. Marilyn says, at the bridge table, Marilyn said, whenever I'm down in the dumps, I buy new clothes. And a woman at the other table said, I was wondering where she got them. Sign in the restaurant window. Don't make fun of our coffee. Someday you'll be old and weak too. Men Who Have Walked with God by Sheldon Cheney. Published by Alfred Knopf. 1945. During World War II. Recommended to us for reading by Edwin E. Smith. 12th grade English teacher. Move from page 85 up to page 282. Or 286. And in time, it's 1600 years after the birth of Christ. Cheney describes the horror, the chaos, the godlessness of the 1600s as he goes to somebody who is not those things, Brother Lawrence. Mentions there were isolated mystics who attained tranquility and peace, and seers who looked beyond the fusion and affirmed God's order and constructiveness. 286. People walk, reign in the presence of God. And here an obscure monk, the holy Linden lay monk, Brother Lawrence, who neither to right nor to the left, because of the controversies and breaches of his day. Glausa, Brother Lawrence was single-minded, ruthless, worldly. Like Jacob Bohm, he was sweet of character, saintly, and holy, devoted to God. Book, and book is quote-unquote, of his sayings, happily entitled, The Practice of the Presence of God. The practice of the presence of God reveals its best Christian simplicity and mystic warmth. Good work, Sheldon Cheney. Page 288. Brother Lawrence was humbly born. His activities during the 1640s and 1650s are completely lost. Record as pertaining to one known only as a soldier. Then, a manservant who, converted as a youth, spent years and years searching for his path of devotion, entering the Paris monastery of the Carmelites, probably in 1666. The Carmelite monastery, Paris, where Pascal was prominent. Lawrence was able to carry on as a blessed solitary, attaining to God's presence, habitually, quote, schooling the soul only to find joy in that companionship, capital C, end of the quote. In early life, Brother Lawrence had gone to the wars against the Protestants and had been lame, and he had known the mystics' usual period of search, doubt, and a defeat between the day of his first illumination and his finding of peace. But practically all that we know of his life and his writings is from that period after he entered the monastery, when, as he put it, quote, I abode lovingly united to God's will, and that was my whole business. We can say that, can't we? We are united with God's will, and that is our whole business. Isn't it simple? Isn't it sweet? Isn't it affranchised? No other revelation of the mystics, oneness of mind, of his total, humble, and intimate devotion of his living in the felt presence of God is so simple, so touching. One feels in reading the utter sincerity, candor, and generosity of Brother Lawrence. Soul is alike with a sense of the divine in all things. Nothing new there, is there, folks? You see how it's all the same. No matter who says it, no matter how long ago they said it, it's the divine in all things. If he is asked to serve in mean and small ways, he acts as happily as in large matters, because to him it is all God's work. I love it. And page 288. Consciousness of divine presence is no less when he is employed in the kitchen than when he is before the altar. Here. In his character, one feels a native sweetness and unconscious sunniness. It is a quality not uncommon among the mystics and seers, but hardly universal. For Augustine, as we know, could be dark-minded and thunderous and bright. Frequently let himself be irritated on or tortured into testiness and protest. But Brother Lawrence was rather of that gentle, aweless, loving group of mystics that is most beautifully exemplified in Jesus and the Buddha Gautama and in Lao Tzu. It is akin or the same token to St. Francis and to the gentle Fra Angelico. With God we go to spread the joy of love. We win each day the happiness of life. We count our blessings, giving pep and smiles. Stop the cruel, stop the cruel. Page 288. Sweetness is not on the sentimental side, for the man had dignity and reserve. Constantly, moreover, translated inspiration and benevolence into deed. We want to do that, don't we? And we do that. He praises consistently the life of adoration. What does adore mean? It means to regard with fervent devotion. Praises consistently the life of adoration and consecration that holds the soul in communion with God. given to the idea that adoration and consecration can be expressed in and implicit in work. That was his work in the kitchen. This is good. Don't you think? He speaks often of, quote, the simplicity and purity of the heart, unquote. Very nice. Purity and simplicity of the heart. And he would have devotion come from these rather than from mental decision. The way, quote unquote, is to be found, quote, by heart and by love rather than by thought, unquote. God flashes the light of faith and the sunshine of his presence into the heart of the humble. And, quote, if you would go forward to in the spiritual life, it will be better to leave aside the labored conclusions and the subtle reasonings of the unguided intellect, unquote. Right. Remember, we have said that Buddha and Brother Lawrence and Jesus Christ, Matthew, is all of the reading that we will do. This is enough. And we'll go over and over and over these beautiful phrases until we are perfect. And this, Brother Lawrence, is, of course, the perfect intuitive.
I don't know, is that the right way to use that?
Though unlettered, perhaps educated not at all beyond reading and writing, Brother Lawrence received spiritual education, sure. Who's your teacher? God. Who was Buddha's teacher? God. When Mitsuya Beaufort, a Grand Vicar, had been directed by Cardinal de Noailles to put into writing some of the spoken ideas of Brother Lawrence, he betrayed his own surprise that one so lowly, quote, born and fixed in menial work, should exhibit so much sound wisdom and exceptional powers of expression. What he spoke, Monsieur Beaufort records, quote, was very simple, but to the point, and filled with sense. Beyond a somewhat rough exterior, one encountered singular sagacity. Singular sagacity. Nice phrase. Brave in mind, beyond that of the usual humble lay brother, and a penetration across the path of my expectation. A man of affairs, capable of giving wise and safe counsel. Quote.
Where you been?
Monsieur Beaufort
Well, I
got down a good deal of the matter of the consciousness.
It's cold out there, huh? Where's your coat?
Excuse me.
my coat.
Got down a good deal of the matter of the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how you doing?
And Brother Lawrence's own terse, economical sentences.
No, I don't know nothing. You got one you want to tell me?
And there are excellent 16 letters, all but 3 written to
Clairvoyant Society.
the business leader in the Carmelite order.
I'm seeing something.
And that ends
Get there.
page 289. Exhibiting in general the same directness, brevity, and pithiness. From this, work of writing intended for publication. He turned, at times, quote, commit his thoughts to paper, unquote. Usually he tore up the compositions when he was feeling inferior. How inferior they were to the inspiration he had from God. I can understand that, can't you? Lacking God's, this is a quote, lacking God's greatness and goodness, unquote. But the manuscript, though a small sheaf of maxims, capital M, was found among his letters after his death. Okay, we're on page 290. Brother Lawrence, Men Who Have Walked with God, Sheldon Cheney, 1945, Knopf, Edmund Smith. Recommended it to us seniors in high school.
Gentlemen, can you get me a cart?
Going to have their
Can you get me a cart?
A cart? Yeah, I can get you a cart, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
High school reunion,
Yes, please.
June 7th and 8th. With people, as with God, he established a rare balance of humility and confidence, of self-giving and independence. On the one hand, he insisted upon total renunciation and surrender to God's will. I think we have done that. Can we carry renunciation any further? I think a chat with Glendora is God's will.
Oh, thank you so
Get out
much.
the message.
Very welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Now, I could be wrong. What do you think? He insisted upon total renunciation and surrender to God's will as prerequisites to entering the presence, capital P. Okay. I surrender to God's will. Quote, we must distrust our own strength utterly and commit ourselves to his safekeeping, unquote. But he walked with a high head, maintaining a dignity in submission. To God, he said in effect, it is your business I am about, and so everything will be all right, end of quote. He refused to enter into incessant prayer on his knees or to carry asceticism over into mortification. Right. For he had schooled his soul until his every intention and every action, quote, his common business, unquote, was addressed to God. That's what we'll do. Just making of this microcassette is God's business. And we are schooling ourselves every action is addressed to God. Monsieur Beaufort, writing of his character, sums up his virtues in these verses. The good brother kept steadfastly in the way of faith, which never changes. He was constant in studying the duty of that station in which God had put him. striving only to excel in discharging these duties. Folks, what duties has God put you into? Are you studying those duties? Are you excelling in discharging them? Glendora, what about yourself? Far from excelling, but trying to do it. Spiritual contemplation and prayer render us humble, gentle, and patient, but also strong. As iron to resist temptation, so that not the desire for pleasure nor fear of suffering has any hold upon him. From the Lord. The joy of contemplation transcends all other pleasures. Yeah, I think it's getting that way. The joy of listening to Brother Lawrence and to Buddha, reading about them, really transcends all other pleasures. So that not the desire for pleasure nor fear of suffering has hold upon him, the joy of contemplation transcends all other pleasures, for thus he dwells with God. Yeah, we dwell with God through happiness. That's the thing that brings us the greatest pleasure, right? The greatest joy. He dwells with God in love. So do we, in love and in happiness, in joy, in peace, in tranquility, in serenity. The vision he has seen in the unchanging light of faith pales the attractions offered by the world. There's no question about that. Doing what we're doing right now is much more
How you doing?
pleasant, joyous, satisfying than going to that open house of Kilsel's on Sunday from 1 to 4 o'clock. The visions he has seen in the unchanging light of faith pales the attractions offered by the world. Yeah, no question. He longs for not else because he has his heart's desire so far as one in this life can. Well, I think you can have your heart's desire 100% in this life. This year before. There is for him no fear, since no thing on earth can injure him. No thing turn his heart from the love of God. Wow, he's adamantine, incapable of being dissolved, broken, or penetrated. Immovable. He need solicit no boon of peace, for his soul lives in tranquility. Isn't it beautiful? Conscious of a world designed for good. Isn't it lovely? The perturbance of anger he knows not. Thank you, Miss Fearful Four. Thank you. You draw a great picture. That's page 290, folks. Indeed, Brother Lawrence made clear to Beaufort that the only occurrence that could bring sorrow to him would be loss of the sense of God's presence. But, he added, he apprehended no danger in that direction, being aware of God's complete goodness. We are. We see no evil. No. We're aware of God's complete goodness. First of all, God is complete, meaning God is everything there is, and God is good. Back to our first step. God is everything there is. God is good. There is no evil unless you are obtuse enough to allow it into your life. Inadmissible. Evil is inadmissible. You do not allow it entrance. You do not grant it entrance. It is not worthy of being admitted, of being acknowledged. Of being accepted as valid. Of offense. Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, think no evil, and do no evil. 291 on the chapter of Brother Lawrence by Sheldon Keenan, published by Knox in 1945. Brother Lawrence, quote-unquote, was the name in religion of Nicholas Herman, a native of Lorraine. Nothing is known of his early life except that he was born in the year 1611 and that he came of a family of those circumstances as a youth. He fought in the wars waged in the name of the Holy Roman Emperor against the Protestant sovereign of the North. It is supposed that he served in the army of Wallenstein in Germany. He was severely wounded, and after his recovery, he walked always with a pronounced limp. About the time of his army service, when he was 18 years of age, he experienced his first revelation from God. The disclosure was no more than comes to millions of people each year. The sight in midwinter of a dormant, leafless tree. And that's right now, folks. We're in midwinter right now. And we are surrounded by dormant, lifeless trees, except that we have some beautiful evergreens. As he gazed upon the trunk and branches to which all life was asleep, he experienced a vision of the tree as it would be in summer, garbed in countless thousands of leaves with flowers and fruit, and therein he felt a sense of God's power and bountifulness that never left him, and we ditto. Reflecting upon the leafless tree and God's way with it, he was then and there, he said, converted, quote unquote. He felt that he had been specially favored in the revelation, and he henceforth, well, he was struggled to loosen the ties of the world upon him. Yes, and that means, of course, selfish and ego. A great many years later, Brother Lawrence told Mr. Beaufort that he had then been kindled with such a love for God, how nice, that he was not sure it had been increased through 4 decades of living since. 4 decades, 40 years. And he was 17, so it's 57. Belief is free, he said, quote, first, lifting upon my soul the fact of God, unquote. From the hour of conceiving that, quote, notion and esteem, unquote, of God's power, the notion and esteem of God's power, wisdom and goodness. I love you, God. Quote, he had no other care but to reject scrupulously every other thought in order that he might perform each act for the love of God. Oh, great. Way to go, Brother Lawrence. In the years following the conversion, he worked as a manservant for a time. He was a footman in the establishment in Paris of one Monsieur Flaubert, described as, quote, the treasurer, unquote. It is not unreasonable to believe that Nicholas Herman left a certain